Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Ian. I'm doing aliens and stuff at the moment. So, if you like what I'm reading, I read stories from old books and things like that. But true stuff. So that, well, it was documented in the way it was written. So that's why it's very, very true to form. So it's accurate. Please subscribe to my channel and give me a like if you like it. So this one's called Stranger Than Fiction, the story. Excuse me, my video started before I pressed the button, so you have to excuse me. I'm out of breath and it caught me off guard, but never mind, it's alright. Right, alien beings must exist somewhere in the universe in some form or other. Of this there is little doubt. The problem confronting us is whether the evidence we possess proves that some of these aliens are visiting the Earth now. If this is so, then proving the fact would be of the utmost significance. It would be perhaps the most momentous occasion in the history of the world. I'll tell you now, this is from 45 years ago. So bear in mind things have changed. But we do not possess photographs, movie film or tape recordings of aliens or artifacts manufactured on another world. Anything that goes beyond mere testimony. In view of this paucity of hard evidence, we hardly say with any definiteness whether aliens are or not visiting us. We can only make a reasoned assessment of the facts. The dilemmas posed by close encounters of the fourth kind are starkly illustrated by a case that occurred in the north of England on 28th of November 1980. Police Constable Alan Godfrey had been called out to pursue some cows that were allegedly roaming a house estate. By 5:15 a.m, still not having found them, he was ready to give up the search. While making one last trip in his patrol car before coming off duty, he saw a glow on the road ahead. He instantly thought of a works bus that regularly travelled the route and idly wondered why it was a little early. Then as he approached the glow, it became obvious that he had been wrong. The object that confronted P.C. Godfrey was like a spinning top with windows. It was hovering just above the road surface, spanning the gap between two lampposts, and it was rotating. He could see his headlights reflected in the metallic surface of the object. He could see leaves on the roadside bushes moving in the vortex created by its rotation. The road surface, soaking wet in other places, was dry in botchy patches directly beneath the object. There was no doubt in his mind that the object was real. Maintaining the traditional calm of the British bobby, the officer propped his clipboard on the windscreen and carefully sketched the object. But then something inexplicable happened. He suddenly found himself further down the road, driving the car away from the scene. Nonplussed, he turned the car round and drove past the spot now deserted, where the object had been. He carried on the short distance into town and collected a colleague. Only at this point did he notice the time. Somewhere since the moment he first saw the UFO, 10 minutes disappeared. Constable Godfrey had a dim memory, however, of a strange voice saying, "This is not for your eyes, you will forget it." Additional fragmentary recollections gradually filtered back to him until 9 months after the incident, and with the help of ufologists, he underwent regression hypnosis. This was conducted by an eminently qualified and rather sceptical psychiatrist, and what appeared to be a coherent memory of the incident emerged. The story was of the usual type. The officer had been taken on board the UFO and given a medical examination by two distinct types of humanoid creature, one tall, the other small, and somewhat ugly. Remarkably, this is almost exactly what the Day family claimed happened to them during their abduction in Averley in Essex. In fact, contact cases reported from Britain share such similarities in many features. Cases reported from other countries, on the other hand, show different similarities among themselves. What happened to the police constable? Is he lying to us? If not, did he have an hallucination or did he undergo the events he described? Or was it something between hallucination and straightforward experience, a distortion or misinterpretation of some extraordinary events? Where happens to be unusual and powerful support for the face value interpretation of the story. 4 police officers on patrol 8 miles away, 13 kilometres, had to duck as a UFO streaked low over their heads, moving directly towards the town near which the encounter took place, and a caretaker lighting a school's boilers in the direction of the town, an object that fitted PC Godfrey's description, climbing into the sky. These stories were reported independently while the police officer was still reporting what he had just observed. When faced with an issue like this, most people take sharply contrasting attitudes. Some would want to believe that aliens were involved. Others would deny that this was possible and would cling to the hallucination theory. Unfortunately, these two hypotheses have points both in their favour and against them. So let us survey some of the difficulties that the various answers face. Why do aliens look like us? Why do they behave like us? And why do they mirror our social and scientific developments? Why do they never tell us anything valuable to which we do not already have access? These problems are curiously like those involved in alleged memories of past lives, spirit messages and other demonstrations of survival of death. It is surely not without significance that the common factor in these cases is the frequent use of regression, hypnosis, and the role of the human mind. Taken together, these facts suggest a mental origin for these strange experiences. To this type of evidence, we should add research onto lucid dreams. These are dreams in which the dreamer is fully aware that he is dreaming. Often the course of the dream can be controlled by conscious effort. Such dreams are rare and seem to overlap with such phenomenon as hypnagogic imagery. The image is often compellingly real, that come when we are between waking and sleep. Although they seem so real at the time, lucid dreams and hypnagogic images give away their unreal nature in various subtle hints. For example, the subject does not react with normal responses. He may feel no fear despite the weirdness of the experience. He will not wake up a sleeping bed partner to witness the events. In one case, a person had such an experience in which he thought an atomic bomb had just exploded in his garden. His response was to yawn and fall asleep. The behaviour of contact case witnesses is often like this. Interestingly, such symptoms also occur in hallucinations that follow long periods of sensory deprivation. When a person is kept in darkness and silence, even his sense of touch is deprived of its normal stimulation. Because his hands are enveloped in special gloves, his mind starts to manufacture its own perceptions, hallucinations of sound, sight and touch. When we consider the usual setting of a Type C contact, nighttime, a tired driver, a lonely country road, and the sudden appearance of a slightly unusual sight, such as a bright light in the sky, it does not stretch credulity very far to suggest that these could be hallucinations brought about by the lack of sensory stimulation. But on their defence, would they sooner do it in the daytime, where there's 50,000 times more traffic, rather than a single car on the road? That's why just a question I'm asking. In the USA, Dr. Alvin Lawson, a professor of English at the University of California, has conducted experiments that are relevant to the hallucination theory. He advertised for people of a creative turn of mind to take part in an unspecified experiment. He screened out all those who seemed to have a knowledge of or interest in UFOs. The rest were asked to imagine under hypnosis that these were being abducted by aliens. These were led on with certain key questions, and the results, he claimed, were so closely akin to the stories told of allegedly real abductions that it was likely that these also were wholly or in part subconscious fantasies. These different types of evidence constitute impressive support for the contention that alien contacts are hallucinatory, but unfortunately there is a fair amount of negative evidence too. Some contact experiences are shared. While collective hallucinations can occur, they are not well understood, and some encounters stretch this hypothesis to breaking point. One Italian type A case involved 7 witnesses. One British type A case involved 4. In some cases, such as those in Puerto Rico and that involving the English police officer, there is at least some degree of independent corroboration. Alvin Lawson's work, as he himself recognised, showed major differences between allegedly real abductions and imagined ones, as well as similarities. When in a UFO contact case, memories emerge by the way of hypnosis. They are almost invariably associated with very strong emotions, more consistent with the memory of a real event than a fantasy. The abductions imagined in the laboratory did not display this effect, and in general, those who took part in the experiment knew afterwards that they had been fantasizing. Contact witnesses are never in doubt that their regression memory is of a real event. It can still be argued, of course, that the remembered event, though real, is purely mental, an hallucination or dream. We must also consider the frequent reports of physical effects on a witness's body, such as burns on the skin, marks on the ground, sometimes accompany these cases as well. But on the other hand, there is almost no photographic support for the contact witnesses' stories. But nowadays there is, because there's nothing else but photographs everywhere. So I'll just sort of mention that. And physical effects can be produced psychosomatically. Looking at more subtle features of the account, considerable consistency and a kind of lucid cohesiveness appear in all but the type B bedroom visitor cases. This tends to make the UFO investigator doubt that he is dealing with experiences more akin to dreams than reality. Sorry. It's a long story, this, but I'm finding it interesting. It's going on a bit, but it's giving some details. It is very difficult to sort out these contradictory elements. Perhaps the fairest judgment we can make at present is to say that Type B experiences seem more like vivid hallucinations than reality. Type C memory block cases have elements suggesting hallucinations, but unlike Type B experiences, offer some data that cast doubt on this assumption. If Type C cases are indeed hallucinations, they seem to be of a unique type, almost a hybrid between dream and reality. As for the most contact cases, Type A, they are the least like hallucinations. Whilst they are full of problems, we cannot explain them as hallucinations with any degree of confidence. What of the other extreme? Are these contacts extraterrestrial in nature? This, the face value hypothesis, implies that hundreds of different races, most of them not very imaginative variants on ourselves from many different worlds, are taking a great deal of interest in the Earth. They perform medical examinations interminably and gather up endless cargoes of soil and rock samples. For no apparent reason, the Earth is the galaxy's grand central station. The skeptics invariably ask why the aliens don't contact someone important. Why not land on the White House lawn and thus dispel all doubts? Well, from my perspective, that wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be fair at all. I think that'd shock places like China, who would then try and demand that one lands on their boss's garden or lawn or whatever, and maybe some others might say the same as well. So that's not going to happen. If anything like that's going to happen, you better just walk in there and just keep your mouth shut and just have a nosy around and just. I'd do undercover if I were them, if that was what was going on. Gaynor Sunderland asked Anna, one of the aliens. She claimed to have met this very question. She was told that people in authority had so much credibility to lose that there was no point in contacting them. Although this had been tried on a few occasions, fear of the consequences kept such people silent. Instead, the aliens pursue a policy of contacting children or simple folk, knowing that some of these will brave the ridicule and speak out. This argument makes an intriguing amount of sense. Widespread belief in the existence of alien life is the only tangible result of decades of UFO stories, a slow covert process of conditioning world opinion to the idea of extraterrestrial visitors. Fits well with the provocative but not probative evidence that we possess. Solid proof would be detrimental to such a policy. It would be impounded or hidden or denied outright. Suggestive indications, on the other hand, avoid the unwelcome attention of authority while providing a stimulus to continued interest and promoting the long, slow building up of belief. Even the confusing and ridiculous behaviour of the aliens would fit this theory. In the end, the only people who will not be convinced that aliens come from space will be the UFO investigators themselves. A great deal of fascinating work remains before we can hope to know the truth. There is no hard evidence that a superior intelligence has made contact with the Earth, but we do have suggestive hints that this might be true. And since most of us would wish UFOs to come from space, our judgment is clouded by an enormous emotional bias. That was quite interesting, that one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. It went on for a bit, but like I say, it's interesting stuff. I'll do another one today. I'll put another one on. Please subscribe to my channel if you like it, and press the like button as well. Thank you for watching my channel. Thank you very much.